Assembly. Mr. Secretary. Please call the roll.
Lucas Dolan. Here. T. Corbin Conlon. Stephen Mott. Here. I'm here. Alex Blisco.
Here.
Jeremiah Sokpa.
Present.
James Zaya.
Here.
Rachel Marzine. Melissa Hines.
Here.
Ryan Bueno. Alex Whitney.
Here.
Kimberly Tran.
Here.
Nathan Rod.
Here.
Dan Molitor.
Here.
Victoria Verassi.
Here.
Liz Casperson.
Here.
Rachel Usgar.
Here.
Scott Howe.
Here.
Anita Mose.
Here.
Ellen Santos is excused. Ron Coward. Libby Otto.
Here.
Alex Serrano.
Present.
Kate McAllen.
Here.
Colleen Shower.
Here.
Penny New. Kyle Evans.
Here.
Ali Sabella.
Here.
Sarah Belisi.
Executive reports. President Lucas.
Okay, so just a few meetings and then a couple of other things, kind of announcements. So yesterday I had a meeting with Professor Vina Deo, who's the president of the Faculty Council and also the director of Multicultural and Diversity Initiatives. And we talked a little bit about just kind of both of us, me learning a little bit more about the Faculty Council and her learning a little bit more about Husc, so that was kind of a good relationship to start to build. And then we also talked a little bit about some of the changes that are going to be happening relating to diversity policy on campus with regard to the Commitment to Community program and the NCORE program being transferred from the Hedgeman Center to her office. And then we talked a little bit about sort of what her vision for diversity moving forward in the campus is going to be. And that's a really sort of a young conversation that hasn't really gotten out there a lot. So I think at some point it would be helpful for us to have a conversation in his General Assembly about this and bring in some of the important players. But I think it's a little bit too soon to do that since not even all of the people involved in the changes have sort of been talked to about it yet. So that's something to look for going forward. And then tomorrow morning is my first monthly breakfast with the provost. And so if anyone has anything that they think I should bring up to him, can bring that up during open forum. And then this is also probably an announcement, but I just want to let people know it really is tomorrow. Now yesterday I sent out, the email was incorrect and I sent out a correction. We're looking for people to help with RHA's Haunted Hallway event tomorrow night, tomorrow night at 7:15. It'll be 7:15 to 11 that you'd be required to be there, but if you can only be there for part of the time, we'll take what we can get. So talk to me later on about that. And then what I'm going to be working on in the week ahead is we've been appointing a lot of students to university-wide committees, and this is sort of a new thing, or at least we're handling it in a much more formal and serious way than it's been done in the past. And so along with that, rather than sending out people blindly, I think it's important to come up with a set of expectations, whether that's in the form of bylaws or just a policy of our administration. So I'm going to be working on that moving forward and report.
Excellent. I have nothing to report other than I promise I'm not texting you with GA. I'm taking notes. Other than that, Greg. Hi.
So I'm gonna just we have had 2 meetings since the last GA. So my committee has been working really hard. I'm gonna start talking about contingencies. We approved $700 for Fusion as a contingency because they are hosting an event. We approved $596.88 for a Foundations of Management class project. They're developing a fundraiser for all the class, and they needed a contingency. That's that. Challenge grant. There are some changes coming up soon for the in terms of bylaws for the challenge grant. I could be interested. We had to decline a challenge grant for a management class, another management class, because they wanted to use Husc funds to donate to
College
to an organization, and we don't See, the challenge grant is not for donations to like outside organizations. Like if you want to fundraise for yourself, you can use a challenge grant, but not for like, oh, I'm gonna fundraise $700 and then I'm gonna challenge it and then I can donate $1,400 to feed my starving children. We do not do that. So that's part of what the bylaw change is gonna be. That's why we had to decline this challenge grant. And there's a new form for the challenge grant coming up, much more clear and much more explicit. Finally, last but not least, the conference fund, peer education requested $2,890 for 3 people to go to somewhere in Virginia for a conference of peer education. We gave them $1,020 for registration fees because we thought that it was a lot for 3 students. Spectrum had 2 requests, one to go to Houston for creating change. In late January, we declined it for $7,640. We have never approved those things. We're willing to work with them, but as it stands, we had to decline it. And we have never done that before, but we are more than willing to work with them. And then the second one, which is in early February, it's also from Spectrum. Same person, same applicant. It's for MBU, some conference in Kansas City. We approved it. They requested $1,380. We gave them $1,180. So yeah, it has been a pretty busy week for us. We're hanging in there. And
Affairs Chair.
We also have had 2 meetings since our last GA, and we're trying to get things done. We have a proposed bylaw change for the attendance policy. It's more of a clarification. Our bylaws are very vague regarding attendance, and so that's going to be coming up later in GA. We amended what was proposed last GA for the president's responsibilities. We cannot vote on them this week because of failure to report the change to the students of the university. So once that is done, then we can vote next GA on that. We are creating a spring election packet. It's going to be much more elaborate. It's going to have the rules in it, the timeline, just something more official. So that is what we're doing now until we get more bylaw changes from EAC or Lucas. I have also received 2 more constitutions. We only need 4 more, and we've heard from 3 of the 4. So really, we're in great shape with that. That's all.
So, Jamaica.
I attended the tobacco use task force meeting along with other Husc members last week, so I'm going to be presenting about that. Otherwise, I believe I sent a template for attendance for some of the committee chairs, and they want help with that. So it's just a template you can use to take attendance. I didn't see all of them, and I sent it from those that I believe I didn't get attendance from, but let me know if you did not receive that. Other than that.
Treasurer Lutz.
I don't really have anything that needs to be talked about at GA for treasury stuff. I've just been reimbursing people and writing check requests, stuff like that. And you said that the committee reports are later on, or is that now? Okay, cool. Amin and I are going to be trading off for the bookstore committee. We had our first meeting yesterday, and if Dean Sickford or anyone wants to add anything for the bookstore committee.
Student Organizations Chair.
My committee will be meeting tonight as scheduled. And also, I'm starting in a point systems similar to a point system that Jillian had last year. Basically, orgs will be getting points, and whoever wins will have the opportunity to gain money for their org. I'm also been in contact with new orgs that want to be chartered, so I'll be working with them to get their process started.
We met last week Thursday, which was the day right before midterm break, so I'm sorry if that inconvenienced any of you. But we had a good meeting. We talked about a few capital improvements. Right now, I know that Representative Mulder and Representative Cowell will be working on the kiosk idea that was brought up the last General Assembly, as well as the possibility of a bulletin board in Anderson. So they'll be working with Carrie Otto to see what that entails exactly, as well as Representative Husc, Representative Tran, and Representative Kwame are working on Husc discount cards to see what the possibility of that is also. And that's what we've been up to in BER so far. And report.
Not a whole lot to report. My committee changed their meetings to Wednesday at 5:30, which is a little nicer. But we will not be meeting this week because I want my group to support RJ and be ready for Haunted Hallway and those sorts of things. Small things. I got my first event promotions request finally, which is available to anyone at any time on the website. So that was cool. So if you want to do anything Thursday night, you can support Theta Chi and their canning, tricker canning. Yeah, and then I think that's all I have for this time. There'll be definitely a lot more coming.
Our coordinator, Alex, please go.
So besides ITSAC, I have nothing to report to the General Assembly.
Dean Sigler.
Only, as Stephen said, the Bookstore Advisory Committee, which you all have four students, I think, representing you all on, met this last week, kind of reviewing the fall rush, the movement, the change, the location of the bookstore, but also evaluating the first-year rental program. And just in a general sense, and Stephen and others can add, I think the general sense of the first-year program is very positive. We do have one faculty member from business who wishes to talk about this at their faculty meeting before a final approval will be made in the next week, but looking to continue that program now, taking this to the faculty for their input and their decision making on that. So that would happen. The other thing I would just tell you is I will not be here next week at our meeting. So if you need, be heading to Pittsburgh for a national meeting with the provost. So if there's anything you need from me, I'll be here through Friday this week. If there's something I can help you with, just to let you know that.
First up, Campus Plan Committee.
Sure. So I don't have a lot to report about this, but I just thought if all the other committees were going to report, I might as well get in on it too. Really, this doesn't affect that many people, but it's worth being, it's worth students being in the know about. The campus planning committee that I'm on, in the past there was a separate capital project committee, so like if there was going to be major capital changes on campus, so like the renovation of the law school patio that happened over the summer, or like the sport court or volleyball court, those type of things. There was a separate committee for that, and now the campus planning committee has sort of absorbed the responsibilities of that committee, and we're going to be meeting on a more regular basis and have expanded responsibilities.
Next up, Nico Kyle.
Alright, so Kyle and I, along with other husband and brothers, we were with Alex. Alright, so, yeah, you were part of it.
Yeah, I co-share with my friend.
Yeah, so we went to the faculty task force meeting last week. And basically what we decided is that there are 3 tasks that we need to discuss. So first we need to create a small group of people on the committee to really figure out how we're going to get survey data. I proposed at the committee meeting that Husc be in charge of collecting data about about the faculty task force and issues concerning it by students. However, we would have like alumni relations, how to get data from alum and things like that. There's also going to be another small group of individuals in the task force that will look at research. So looking at different universities that are similar in size and demographics at Hamline throughout the country, and see what their tobacco use policy is. We also talked about having a representative from safety and security on the task force. So figuring out if there were to be a ban, how would it be enforced? What is the current enforcement right now? true recommendation without getting that information. And we also talked about having a representative from one of the people that wrote the letter to have this task force created, have them come to a meeting in the future.
No, Miko pretty much covered everything that we've gone over. And basically from what we wanted in regards to this, but just to clarify, like what we want, kind of what we want to incorporate Husc with this is through the surveying. And so once we get that subcommittee going in our committee on how to, what the best way is to survey the student population, we're definitely going to want to utilize our resources here in surveying students.
And when it comes to data, what the task force wants is information about the usage of tobacco on campus, the attitude that students have about tobacco use on campus, and also how they feel about the enforcement. So those are the three main things I really want out of a survey, and task force to do something on the research. Any questions of Kyle or I believe we have a meeting.
Nico, I would just let you know that we've had two, I think, national health surveys. You know, one I think a year or two ago, and then one before that does actually, you know, you have some historical record about tobacco use. So if you need to use that, it's available through research to utilize.
And I saw Alex.
Oh, I just want to thank you guys for your diligence in putting this report together, but I just wanted to suggest that since Jordan Clark's the co-chair with Mark Reynolds, maybe he could do the report for next week.
That's not entirely necessary, but if you need me to, I can. But they knocked it out of the park.
I will be definitely incorporate you whether it's
And have you decided whether you're going to consider electronic cigarettes the same as tobacco or not?
No, what I think Hal and I both decided that we were going to sit on the small group that looks at data, but we're still trying to come with a definition of what will be included. We had a long conversation, it was a bit long.
Right, exactly. Going over all the different types of not only like smoking materials, but you know, tobacco use. Because I mean, technically, what it is the definition thing. We don't know how to define if it's just strictly tobacco products or smoking products. Yeah. So that's something we definitely are going to go over in the committee.
I think.
Has the committee defined where this would, like where at Hamline this would affect? Like, would it be extended to the houses and the apartments by Minnehaha, or would it be like just the main part of campus where the majority of those classrooms are?
If you want me, we were talking about that. That's another thing. We're kind of waiting on the formal definition of what is on campus. We're waiting, again, like Miko said, for a representative for who wrote the letter, for what they had in mind when they presented the letter, of like the definition of on campus. And we also want to talk to safety and security and kind of look into those aspects of like, the definition of on campus to see if it extends, you know, because Hamline does extend all the way past Minnehaha, like you said, and so, but we have to decide where the definition of on campus truly is for this. That's still up in the air.
Yeah, and I think what we might do is get recommendations or ideas from the student body once we collect data. So if there were a ban, what do you think should be banned? Should it just be tobacco? Should be other things that are social, things like that? And so we'll probably get some student input and take that when we make a recommendation. So we'll probably come towards the end of that.
Any other questions? Stephen, who else did you say was presenting before?
Amin and Dean Tigger are both on the committee, so if they want to like add anything to all of them, feel free. I'm just gonna stand right here. So yeah, like Dean Tigger said, the main thing we focused on at the first meeting was the Booksmart program, which is the first year rental program. Melanie, who's the bookstore representative, she shared a lot of feedback that the bookstore has gotten about the program from like financial aid and the admissions office, and also they did polling for first year students. Overall, the feedback was really good. So we're going to be just discussing the program if we want to do it next year and if we want to expand into other years as well. And
Yeah, it was mostly just about the remodeling stuff that they did over the summer and the move and how they could make the, like when students add or drop a class, how that process could be fixed because they didn't know when students added or dropped classes, so they didn't have the books ready. So just basically streamlining and cleaning up the process.
And then one other thing, Amin and I are being interviewed by the Oracle tomorrow for the bookstore committee, so just keep your eyes up for an article in either the next Oracle or the one after that about it.
I'd just add to what Amin said is that the polling that Stephen responded to, it was probably a 85% response from the first year group because it was done during the MapWorks thing, and I think that, you know, the one issue that really kind of came out in those polling was what he alluded to, and that is students were dropping and adding classes right up to the first day of class, and so there were shortages, there were overuses of some first year classes, even though they ordered over 100% of textbooks, and they have some systems in place that she is proposing that would kind of help prevent that, and that is probably the one thing that came out in the polling that needed improvement was that, you know, there was maybe a third of the students who didn't have their books that in their first initial package and stuff, but they are looking at systems to try to mitigate that. But I think in the end, I'm trying to remember, it was 90-some% of students either strongly or agreed that this should continue.
Yeah.
Only 2% said not to, so it's that strong of a polling from the students that used it.
Right.
So, and I kind of jumped the gun, I'm sorry I jumped the gun a little bit ahead of you guys, but the one other thing I'd just say is that the committee is still gathering some information. They want a couple more weeks to get some more data, and then we will vote as a committee about the formal approval of the program.
Can I make a quick request? The sophomore and junior and senior reps are all here, right? They're all, yeah, okay. Can you guys at your class meetings ask about how they feel about the Book Smart program, like the book rental program? Because I'm going to ask the freshman class at mine tonight, but since you guys have previous experience without it, then I feel like that'd be kind of...
But just remember, you're the very first class that's ever had this program. These other upperclassmen have never had the Book Smart program.
True.
They've had rental, but not like what you
Not
would
like this.
So.
I think it would be good too, because the first years never experienced buying their own books and never they have no idea the cost of, you know, potentially what their book prices could be from semester to semester or in their major, that kind of thing. But second years, third years, and fourth years who have bought their own books know and understand that. Because we all know that for some second, third, and fourth years, paying $200 for all their books is a really good deal. For some, it's not. So I think asking that question, if the committee is wanting to expand it beyond first years, I think it's a good topic to bring up.
If we are to bring it, the Book Smart program up, can we get an outline of talking points and just the quick facts of it?
Yeah.
Can you send that out to reps?
Yeah.
Thanks.
We can do that. Let me just say there's a couple things that are real different about this program that, you know, that you're going to talk to your classes. One is, it's a question Amin brought up, is that every student in that group of the first year class is, you know, you have to participate. There's no opt-out, okay? And that allows the cost to be taken down. The second thing is that this is charged on your bill. It's not all your other rental programs for upperclassmen. You don't have charges on your bill, so you can't use your financial aid to buy your books. So because it's a charge on your bill as a first year, your financial aid is used to pay that bill. And thus, there were no students in the first year class that didn't have books because it was all part of that system. So that's some of the real differences, you know, in this program than what we've experienced in the past.
Sure.
And need to kind of, and you know, it's kind of like, I mean, I don't see us, well, anyway, that's just to understand as people talk about it as upperclassmen, you know, those are some of the real significant differences to the program.
Did you guys discuss in the committee a better way of improving it? Maybe if students submitted, when they register for books, it's submitted straight to the bookstore's website. That way there's more of like a tracking system behind it.
Yeah, there's what they're thinking about for next year is adding a cart system, so that when you register for your classes, it will tell you what books you need, and you just check a box, add to cart, the bookstore knows, so that when the book gets shipped to the bookstore, all you have to do is scan the barcode and, oh, this student needs this book.
Yeah, because I work at a bookstore and I know, like, after pulling 500 and something orders of students,
Yeah.
it's hard when some student comes in and they're like, oh, I actually did not register for this class, or I changed this class, and there's no way that we can be able to keep track of who registers for what and when you drop a class and when you add a class. So that system of online would be a lot easier than having like a paper form in front of us.
the biggest
basically.
issue.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any other questions? Let's move on. As mentioned before, we do not have any unfinished business that will probably come up for next week. So we'll launch right into new business. There's an attendance bylaw change that will be presented by Nico and Melissa.
I didn't trip that time, guys. Okay, so Nico created the resolution and PAC actually together created the proposed bylaw changes. So I'll read through Nico's resolution first and then we'll go to what PAC has proposed. So whereas attendance is important to the functions of Husc and the current bylaw regarding attendance is vague and unclear, and having an updated bylaw regarding attendance is a responsible act, and therefore be it resolved that bylaw 7.02 attendance requirements be updated so that Husc members that have 4 unexcused absences have their membership revoked. And be it further resolved, the General Assembly vote on this resolution. Just to clarify, this will be tabled until next week, but we're not voting on referring it to PAC, because PAC has proposed these, so there's a step that's already been done. Okay. So, subdivision 2, any council member, I'll read it how it's supposed to be first. Any council member as defined by the Constitution who has missed a total of 4 meetings in a academic term will be subject to immediate dismissal from the council. Right? Is that reading correctly? So what we're changing it to, or what we're proposing a change is, who has missed a total of 4 unexcused absences from meetings, including General Assembly, Board of Elected Representatives, and their Husc Standing Committee assignment in an academic term. So basically, right now it just says 4 meetings, 4 absences from meetings. That's really unclear. Are they excused? Are they unexcused? And what kinds of meetings? It doesn't say what meetings are included in there. So that's what we're proposing to clarify.
Discussions?
Can I just ask, what is your definition of an academic term?
Yeah, Lucas and I were just having a brief conversation about that before GA. I take it as a year, he takes it as a semester.
You need to clarify that.
Is that even is the term even something that's used by the registrar's office at all?
There are terms, term 1, term 2. So term 1 would have been the first half of first semester. And so some of you may have had, first term classes that were only 1 or 2 credits that were done as of last week. And if you have a term 2 class, it starts this week. So each semester has 2 terms in it. So each academic year would have 4 terms in it. So I go down and just clarify.
I think you just need to say that this is per semester or for a year, to be clear.
Was everyone listening to that up front? Okay.
Can I ask for clarification on the wording here? It's the completed one would be any council member who, defined by the thing, who has missed a total of 4 unexcused absences from meetings. Like, how can you miss an absence?
So what you're proposing is who has,
Like accumulated absences as opposed to not.
who has a total of 4 unexcused absences?
Yeah, the word missed is.
Okay.
Who was missed?
So we need a motion on the floor to amend this. So who has a motion to strike missed?
7.02 subdivision 1 and then parenthesis 1. It also mentions something about 4 absences during an academic.
Hold on, subdivision 1 you said?
I don't have what the name was, just keep talking.
Yeah, well, it's basically the same wording. So subdivision 1, the first parenthesis says, any representative whom has missed a total of 4 meetings during each academic term will be subject to immediate dismissal from the council. And then the one we're looking at is subdivision 2, where it says, any council member as defined by the Constitution who has missed a total of 4 meetings in term will be subject to immediate dismissal from the council. So it kind of like has it in 2 places, and I'm not clear what the distinction is, but just we should probably be aware that this type of thing is mentioned twice. So if we're going to change it, we probably need to change it in both places.
So do you have a motion, or you just
Well,
having discussion?
I just wanted to bring that up because I think that it should be discussed.
Discussion on the topic.
I think we should stick with any council member, instead of any representative, because I'm not a representative, but I'm a council member. I'm just one of a certain amount. You should fire me.
Well, if you want to do that, then you should add an executive board too.
But doesn't council member already include the executive board? That's the reason why she wants to be council.
I don't consider. No, we use the word council. So do we say?
I motion to change the term representative to council member
Up here?
in parentheses 1, subsection 702.
Okay. Do we have discussion on that?
Yeah, I think before we do this, we should be aware that there's a possibility that this is really redundant, and it's really unclear to me why there's parenthesis 1 something stated, and then sort of the exact same thing stated again in subdivision 2. So I'm wondering if it might be useful to as long as we have to table this again anyway, having it sent back to PAC to kind of look at the whole bylaw and figure out why is it so redundant, or is there a reason why this is stated twice, and if there was meant to be some distinction between these 2 things. As long as we have to wait a week anyway, I wonder if it wouldn't be worth taking another look at it, just because it's the whole thing, as I'm looking through 7.02, is really confusing. It starts off subdivision 1 by saying all chartered organizations are required to attend the semesterly student organization committee caucus meeting, which has nothing to do with the rest of the bylaw. And it just seems like it's really disorganized, and this has been here for years before us, so it's not anyone's fault that's here right now. But I wonder if it's not worth clarifying the entire thing.
Yeah, I'm definitely for that, I think, but as a general council, we need to decide what an academic term means too, before we refer anything.
So are we changing, oh, sorry.
Rachel.
Well, I just had a point of clarification about the term council member, because, I mean, technically, any member of the student body is a member. They're just not a voting member. So perhaps, if I'm understanding correctly, so perhaps having something about elected council members, or like something about the fact that you vote.
Point of order, his motion is still on the table,
I'd like to
and he has to
rescind.
rescind it, otherwise we're technically discussing that.
I apologize.
I'd like to rescind.
Under Article 3, Section 2 of the Constitution, the Student Congress Council is defined as the executive board, including both officers and cabinet, Husc special organization and committee representatives, and Husc representatives, elected student representatives, the RHA representative, and the residence hall representatives, advocacy representative, multicultural representative, at-large student organization representatives, and then the special representative. So the Student Congress Council is defined as the Student Congress roll call, and yes, every student is a member of Husc, but they're not on the council.
Okay, that's it. I just want to make sure that somewhere it was, previous to this, it's clarified what that means. So if it's already on there, good.
the actual rule for it?
That's, Lucas was under a different impression, I was under a different impression, and Miko was under a different impression. Miko was working under 4 unexcused for a year, right? And that's
Like an academic year would be like
a term. So
because
that's
you
what I
have
was
your
working
office
under.
for a year, so that was my.
So we've been working under 4 unexcused for a year. Lucas was under an impression 4 unexcused for a semester, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's what we need to decide, is it 4 unexcused for a year, 4 unexcused for a semester?
So Jeremiah's name first.
I would say that we should just change term to either semester or academic year, basically, one of the other, because seeing as in term as defined as Wendy just talked about, it could either be half of a semester or the entire semester, so we might as well just stick to one unified definition of it. I mean, one unified word.
He said what I was going to say.
Okay, Alex.
I motion to change academic term to academic year.
Second.
All in favor, or sorry, any discussion? All right, all in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Is there any other discussion? Is there a motion on the table? Listen.
I motion to refer this to the PAC committee.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Can I amend the motion to refer to the PAC committee to like look over the entire attendance policy? Because we still have the unresolved issue of look at subdivision 1, parentheses 1, where it just says 4 meetings during each academic term, and it's repeating the same thing. So maybe we can see this next week in a form where that's fixed.
Is there any?
Second.
Is there any?
I
Yeah.
second that.
Second motion. Okay, is there any discussion on that? I'm referring to PAC to look over the entire division attendance policy.
Just a question of clarification, will we be then voting on this next semester? I mean, not next semester, next meeting?
No, it will be tabled. Next, this is tabled, PAC has to look over it, then PAC proposes it to us, and then we have to table it again.
Point of
Because our
order.
meetings are on Mondays, and they have to be sent out 5 days before we can vote on that. And Monday to Tuesday, Sunday.
We need to vote on his amendment and then vote to table it.
This was discussion about
The tabling or the
Yeah.
amendment?
the amendment.
The amendment.
And then we're gonna vote on the amendment
Yes.
and then vote on the tabling?
Yes.
We're not voting on any tabling
Okay, all right, sorry, tabling will happen next week.
next week.
She's right. Listen to her. Jenny?
I have a question, will this be starting from now on, or will it be past this, add-on clarification thingy, or is it gonna have the past, access?
That's a good question.
Cause I feel like it's unfair if people didn't have this clearly, to be basically remembered for that moment.
Discussion?
On whether or not,
I agree with Jenny. I decided for my.
Yep.
You agree with Jenny that,
That it would be, because we're talking, is that what we're clarifying on, is whether, I agree with Jenny that if the bylaw was confusing for people to interpret, then that it shouldn't count for previous absences. It should start after the bylaw is passed.
so you're proposing that we forgive all previous absences?
Yes, in a sense.
I don't know exactly how to motion this, but I was thinking, I recall back my idea of changing academic term to academic year instead of academic. That way this takes effect next semester. rather than having it for the entire year. And I know some people, either will drop their representative positions after a semester, or B, have study abroad, or other different things like that. So do that for this, just to a semester rather than the entire year.
It's one that requires a motion. You did want a motion if we still need to finish Lucas's.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know there was still a motion on the table.
No.
Yep, all right.
I just want to ask a question. Why, if we were going to change parentheses 1, that would take an additional week, but if we were going to amend it so that we change the miss 2, which is also an amendment, just like changing parentheses 1 is, why wouldn't that have taken an extra week?
So you're saying parentheses 1 should take an extra week, but subdivision 2 should not?
I'm saying we had already amended it at this meeting, so me asking for there to be further amendments shouldn't extend the length of time if we were up to that point we were planning on doing it next week, because there are already new amendments that haven't been reviewed by PAC, and so adding other ones like to be reviewed by PAC shouldn't be any different than what we just did during this meeting.
According to our bylaws, it has to be sent out to the student body 5 days before we can vote on that. Our PAC meetings are on Mondays. That would only give the student body 1 day to review the proposed amendments.
Okay, so if we made changes today, then those would have 5 days to be sent out as a point.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Just a clarification, we can amend that amendment that I'm following because it is really hard to follow, but I'm really trying my best to follow it. So that's going to be another thing that we're going to bring about. But as it stands, I'm sorry I'm being mean, but that's what I have to do.
All right. Jen, do you want to go with it? Yeah. So there's still a motion on the table to refer this to PAC.
For all of the attendance policy.
Correct. Yes. Any other discussion? Excellent. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Let's go back to that.
Are we having any discussion on the motion that's in my proposed?
We have no formal, oh, sorry, Jenny.
Can I say something real quick? I think it's a my committee, and I think all committee chairs should do is like discuss what is going to be unexcused, just so everybody's clear about that, and maybe deciding what is an unexcused action for the day. So I know we said in our executive board that it's up to the chairperson to decide if it's unexcused or not. So I would encourage you all to discuss that at your committees.
We have no formal day's discussion, so if anyone would like to bring something up to discuss. Lucas?
I'm not really clear. Maybe I should wait till announcements, but I was going to see if I could get the volunteers who's able to help out with the event tomorrow, so maybe that's better for announcements. Okay.
I was going to ask what a day's discussion was.
Well, yeah, we don't have one today, so you can bring up anything you'd like the general council to discuss.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
For those of you guys who have been taking minutes at the committee meetings, you guys are doing a great job. Just make sure that you send them in a Google Doc or Word doc, not in an actual email. So that way I have it on file. But you guys have been doing a great job, so thank you guys. Do you guys have any questions about the conversation? No? Oh, yeah.
Kind of on that topic, it's a lot easier to take roll call as the secretary if there's an updated list of reps. So I was wondering if we could get an updated list, because the one in the binder is a little bit inaccurate as of right now.
Yeah, I can send that to you. Is the website updated as well?
It's updated except for
Sarah?
one representative, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I can send you the list of.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Anything else?
I just want to open it up as kind of the same as asking for day's discussion, but if there's any issues that people have in mind that they think I should bring to the provost's attention tomorrow morning.
Something with the Anderson policy, it's been really iffy for MA orgs, especially since a lot of them do like cultural and ethnic events, and they want to utilize Anderson because it's so high traffic. If it's something that the provost could look into about, like clarifying what exactly Anderson is able to do for the MA orgs. I know SOSA has run into some issues about having South Asian food in Anderson because Anderson claims that they can make it, but they have to look up the recipe for it, which in my eyes and also on behalf of SOSA, they said that that means that they don't know how to make it and that they can't make it because it's food that is something that you kind of have to grow up learning how to do.
Anything else?
So President Linda Hansen is coming to GA on December 3rd, and I had a question. Is she coming to, is there like a structure for how we're going to ask her things? Is there a goal for what we should be bringing up, or? Because I have my class meeting tonight, and I was wondering if I should mention that at the meeting or not.
First, please do. Clearly what the goal is, we're still trying to determine what it is that we're going to be focusing the discussion on. When I asked her originally to come into GA, the one standard I had, she asked of us, was that we provide her with essentially a list of topics that we want to talk about. So the purpose of the last meeting is simply just to collect these things so that we can learn more. Any other discussion needed about it for the provost or to the president for December 3rd's GA?
This again might be more of an announcement, but the way we have our schedule set up for General Assembly is so that November 26th, we are going to that's likely when we'll try to have our discussion on the new diversity policies. And then December 3rd is when President Hansen is coming in. And then December 10th, the next GA, is the last GA of the semester. So if there's anything you really want to get done or business on the table, it needs to be done by November 19th. So then it can get, if it needs to be tabled all the way to December 10th, because we're going to have 2 weeks basically there where nothing will really get done because we're going to be having these conversations. So I just want you to be aware of that timeline so that we're not crunched. December 19th.
Alright, seeing no further discussion. Announcements. Lucas?
Oh, so the Haunted Hallway RHA event, and Liz probably can talk about this too, but I'm still trying to find more Husc members to volunteer to be hallway or tour guides, and the time frame is 7:15 to 11, and the event is actually from 8 to 11, but they're asking us to be there at 7:15 for training. So I'm wondering if I asked at executive board last night, but if there's any representatives who are available during that time and willing to help, and if so, can you please tell me the time frame that you're available if it's not the entire time. So maybe you can just talk to me after the meeting, but I'll stick around, please, and come to me and talk to me about that. We still need, it'd be nice if we get 4 more people.
So you know how it's written.
Okay.
Jeremiah, would you like to talk a little bit about representative training?
Yes, representative training, November 9th, we mentioned it at the last, not executive board, BER meeting that we had last week Thursday, and it's set for next week Thursday. I believe I was gonna do around 7:30. That way, one, Wendy can be able to make it, and it's not too late for her. And B, although I know some representatives have classes until 9, gives the chance because we don't want to be there for too long. And I know some of us, not some of us, but some of the representatives live off campus. So they need to get home at a reasonable time, basically, and not letting them off around 10:30. Yes, Libby?
November 9th is a Saturday.
It's a Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh, I meant the 7, not 9, not 9, 7. It's a wrong day on there. Yep, 7, sorry about that. Sorry. Yep. November 7th, at 7:30. 7:30.
So don't look at that at all. That's completely wrong.
I didn't say that.
You did.
No.
You did.
Do that in 5 years, so she has a big coming on Tuesday, November 5th to perform our one-woman show. The doors will open at 6:30 with the show starting at 7 o'clock in Sudden Music Hall. Students and faculty is free. We are asking for a $5 to $10 donation if you are not part of the Hamline community, but this is open to other ACTC schools as well as the outside community because we feel that it is very important that people get educated on these issues. There will be a talk back held afterwards, so please stay around for that. And if you have any questions, go to the Facebook page or come and talk to me.
What date was that?
Tuesday, November 5th.
The junior class town hall meeting is tonight at 5 in Anderson's here too.
There's a dodgeball tournament on Saturday. $5 per person, 6 to 8 people per team. Husc should form a team and sign up and participate. It's for a great cause.
I'm still looking forward to a large representative, so if the people that are doing their class meetings, if you could please make an announcement and let them know to contact me, because I would really, really like to have more people helping me.
Yeah, two things. On Thursday the 31st, we've got Theta Chi's Trick or Canning. You should all sign up in Anderson and come get some food from people instead of candy with us. And if Alex would like to add more information to that, he may now.
Yeah, so everybody should go. It's going to be a really big blast. Show up at 5. We're going to start going out at 6. We're going to go to Summit, Falcon Heights, and the Midway area. Whoever collects the most food, there are prizes, monetary prizes, where you win things for being an awesome person. So it's a really good incentive to get people out there. Contact myself or Enrique Ortega if you'd like to sign up. And you can, if you don't sign up before then, you can just show up and we'll put you on a team. And it should be a lot of fun.
Second thing is that the fall play opens this weekend on Friday the 1st and the 2nd, and the following week on the 7th, 8th, and 9th. It's called Our Country's Good. It's a really good show. I'm in it. You should all go see it. It's really fun.
Hey Alex, what if we have choir until 5:30 because we have choir until 5:30 on Thursday?
I have sectional, and I'm gonna leave as soon as I can get out, and I'm gonna talk to Dr. Chu. But it's okay. We're not leaving until 6, so you can come after choir if you in choir, which there are.
There's a concert on Saturday. You can't miss it.
There's a poetry slam this Sunday in Anderson Studio, I believe.
A what?
That changes. I will send out an email. But there will be a poetry slam open mic. 6:30 is sign up. The open mic will start at 7. Everything else will happen afterwards. So come, do something random, play a guitar, perform a poem, sing a song.
So Saturday we have 2 Code Red games for athletics. The women's soccer team plays at home at 1, and then both cross-country teams have their conference meet at Como, so it's a pretty big meet. The girls are at 2:15 and the guys are at 3:15. So if you guys make it out there, that'd be awesome.
I would encourage representatives to attend your other fellow representatives meeting, even though you do not belong in their class. 1, to kind of see how it goes. 2, to give them support. 3, also to get ideas and other different things like that, which all of you guys will be sharing anyway at VR meetings. So it's good to kind of, I guess, help each other out a little bit more rather than just leaving them to hang out there alone by themselves. So encourage them.
There's a lot of announcements. I think what I'll do is probably send out an email later today because there were so many details I wanted to make sure I get it all accurate. So I'll look out for an email later today so I can send out the minutes and all the announcements.
Alex?
Is that it?
As far as I know.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
We all get up.
All opposed? I gotta vote.
Alex,
Yeah.
you want
We're
to
leaving. We're
feel
done.
nice?